This is a great clip of former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett being asked on ABC News why he doesn't support a two-state solution. Such a simple answer. Have a watch.
You said you don't believe in a two-state solution. Why not a two-state solution, and what would be your proposed solution?
Because they'll kill us.
There's no way to live in peace.
Not with people who want to kill you. What we've learned over the past 30 years is every time we gave the Palestinians a piece of land, instead of building it into a beautiful Singapore, they turned it into a terror state and began killing Israelis. It happened first time in the 90s when we did Oslo. It happened the second time in 2005 when we gave them all of the Gaza Strip and they began shooting rockets at us, and later on October 7th. We're not going to kill ourselves a third time. It's a horrible, horrible idea to inject a terror state on our borders.
But isn't Hamas separate from the will of the Palestinian people?
No.
The Palestinian people elected Hamas in democratic elections.
Right, but there are Palestinians there who are saying that they could live in peace, right? Let me ask you this way.
Yeah, there are, but it's a very minority. It's a minority. In every poll, and the most important poll of elections, out of 132 seats in parliament, Hamas got 76. That's much more than 50%. So if the Palestinians elected Hamas, and Hamas is a murderous organization, we've got a problem. I'm certainly not going to give these people an opportunity to kill me.
And I also just have to show you so you can see this clearly, okay? Because this is not just, making this up. Okay, so this is, as you can see, I just want to zoom out a little bit. Right. A poll shows Palestinians back October 7th attack on Israel, support for Hamas rises. Now, this was done in December, but the findings are still the same when they were done even more recently. Almost 3 in 4 Palestinians believe the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel was correct, and the ensuing Gaza war has lifted support for the Islamist group both there and in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria. A survey from a respected Palestinian institute, polling institute. They're called the Palestinian Center for Policy Survey and Research. Their findings were published as international alarm grows. And so as I say, this is a polling that is done. You'll see if you just do a basic Google search, you'll see that these are polls that have done repeatedly, even just a few months ago, and they're still finding that. So I like Bennett's answer, and he's straightforward and he just cuts to the chase, and I think we should be doing that. But there's 2 points I'd make. Number one is that the whole premise of a two-state solution is grounded in a false reality. The false notion that all the Arabs want is self-determination. They just want their own state, and it's a legitimate grievance. But a basic study of history will show you that they have no interest in their own state. They have no interest in self-determination, because if they would have won the war in 48 to destroy Israel, what would have happened? The land would have been carved up into part of Jordan, part of Egypt, part of Lebanon. And so it is not their aim. It is not their ambition to have self-determination. Their ambition is to kill off the Jews. I just want to get up this map here so you can see this, because this states it more clearly than words can. This is what the map would have looked like had they won in 48, God forbid. So you'd see it would just be part of chunks of Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt. Where's the Palestinian state? And you know what happened, actually? I'll get this up so you can see the map of Israel after Israel won the war. So what happened was you had Egypt controlling Gaza, and you had Jordan controlling the West Bank, or Judea and Samaria. So in that time, for several decades, where were the calls for a Palestinian state to be in at least those regions, for them to have independence there? Here you see the map. You got Jordanian controlled and Egyptian controlled. No calls to have their Palestinian state there, no. And then in the 60s, You had Arafat and the PLO and others come up with this notion of we'll be a Palestinian state and we'll have a Palestinian identity, whereas for them it's all just about Arab unity and getting rid of the Jewish people's re-established homeland. So if that's the case, if that's what has been driving the cause since the very start, then it doesn't matter how much Israel tries to come to the table and do deals and look at two-state solutions, they're going to keep rejecting it. And even if they accept it will only be part of their process of destroying Israel. And the proof of that is exactly what Bennett was saying. Look what happened in Gaza. They tried it. They tried out the hypothesis. The hypothesis the world was demanding Israel try. The world was demanding Israel give up land. And what happens? They get terrorism, a hub of a death cult of evil, kids trained to hate Jews, to be martyrs, and they get October 7th. Now, some people say to me, well, Israel gave up parts of the Sinai to Egypt and got peace. I'd say two things to that. First of all, I'd say Israel got a ceasefire rather than peace. I wouldn't exactly say Israel has friendly relations. Look how Egypt has conducted in this war. They've at the very least turned a blind eye to Hamas tunnels coming in and out of Egypt. And by the way, it's bizarre that the world isn't talking to Egypt about letting in Gazans. No, it's only Israel that's the evil blockader. Egypt had one as well. But the point is that with Egypt, with Israel giving away Egypt, it's not feeding into a narrative that it really belongs to, the Palestinians and the Arabs. That it doesn't feed in. When Israel gave up Egypt, I'm not saying they should have, by the way, but when they did it didn't feed into this narrative. It didn't concede that somehow really there is this Palestinian national self-determination, legitimate identity that genuinely just seeks self-determination. That Israel wouldn't be conceding that in that instance. But when Israel gave up Gaza and says, go on, create your own state, she is telling them, I'm going to buy into your cynically created narrative that you just want self-determination. And so it encourages them, and it's a very big difference. And so Israel cannot do that. The more she tells them, yes, I'll concede when you push me, the more they're going to push for more. And the more it's going to be telling them, yeah, maybe we're right. Maybe this land really should, all of it should be ours. Maybe the Jews really do have no right to be here. So Bennett is right about that. But the one thing I'd also say is that I think we should also be saying this now as well. Not just that they'd kill us, God forbid, if we had a two-state solution, but also because this is Jewish land. Judea and Samaria, it's where so many of the stories of the Bible, which I have right next to me, of the Torah take place. If this isn't the Jewish people's homeland, then whose is it? Same with Gaza. And so I think we should also be saying that now as well. The former US ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, has come up with a book called One Jewish State, where he's saying we can't continue with the madness, the delusion of talking about two-state solution when it's based on a false premise, and we've tried it for 100 years and it's simply not working, and October 7th was proof of that. And so he's saying, let's try a different approach. Now he proposes maybe having some semi-autonomous zones for local political matters where you might not be able to have Arabs in those certain regions that are currently under the Palestinian Authority. We might be able to give them full say on all domestic matters for the Jewish state. He said it's similar to like Guam and other American territories when they might not have the right to vote in the same way as American citizens. But I think even if you need to go further and say, if you support Hamas, if you support October 7th, we're not going to allow you to be a citizen, or you're going to be deported or detained or whatever it is, that's legitimate. Any state has the right to do that. So Israel needs to figure out a plan that is different from the false paradigms of the past. And I think, while some politicians might think we just have to kind of just manage a status quo and just tiptoe around, and yeah, we're not going to agree to a two-state solution, but we can't have any big, bold plan. I think we should have the ability to say we're going to chart a new course and this is what we're going to do, and it's going to be good for the well-being of everyone ultimately. If we make that case confidently and strongly and courageously, I think we'll be able to carry people with us. So however the specifics of how it will work should come about, I think Israel should develop the confidence not just to reject what the world is proposing, but actually, if they truly wish to be sovereign, to chart a new path forward. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.